I'm Dave Dahl, creator of Dave's Killer Bread, a well-known, against-the-odds success story. To give back, we built a podcast studio called TalkCast PDX, a state-of-the-art facility to produce your own podcast. TalkCast PDX is a place where every opinion is accepted. If you've ever thought about it, do it. Use your voice and make a difference at TalkCast PDX.
Dobardan, that means good day. Bok means cordial greeting, kind of like how's it hanging or something like that. But anyway, this is TalkCast PDX, as I'm sure you just saw. On the web, talkcastpdx.com. Name of the show is The Bogdanich Perspective. It's Tuesday, July 27th. My name is Paul Bogdanich, and I'm your host, and welcome. Title of today's show is The News. When I was a much younger person, there was a TV show starring a guy by the name of Darren McGavin called Kolchak, the Night Stalker, and he had this editor, and his editor was named Vincenzo, and he used to bring in these stories to Vincenzo, and Vincenzo goes, "Why should I print this?" And he goes, "Because it's news, Vincenzo, news." Anyway, so we're going to go over the news today. Talk about the Olympics. I just love it. I've been watching that. The Japanese, like our officials, are making it absolutely just as difficult and as sterile and as joyless as possible. I don't know what's up with these healthcare bureaucrats. You know, they need to be unplugged. You know, but the athletes are great. You know, a lot of great stuff is happening. There was what was it? It was the women's 100-meter backstroke, right? All right, and it was the qualification rounds, and they have 3 heats in qualification, and they have 9 lanes in the pool, or 8 lanes in the finals pool. So the top 2 from every qualifying round go to the finals, plus the other 2 top lowest times go to the finals, and that's your 8. All right, the first heat gets into the pool. And a Canadian woman by the name of Kaylee Moss, all right? She swam an Olympic record in the first heat of the women's 100-meter backstroke qualifier. And so she swims an Olympic record. And then that hypes up the rest of the thing, you know, the rest of the heats. Second heat gets into the pool. And Reagan Smith, an American, swims a new Olympic record, right? So Kaylee Moss held the Olympic record for all of about 8 minutes. And then Kaylee Moss, Reagan Smith, gets in there and swims a new Olympic record. So that's 58.17 for Kaylee Moss and 57.96. So below 58 for Reagan Smith. And then the third heat gets into the pool, and Kaylee McCowan from Australia swims a new Olympic record, still dropped it to 57.88. So you had 3 Olympic records in 3 semifinal heats. They did the final swim last night, and I won't tell you what happened, other than to say that new records were set. And but those 3 gals got in the pool and duked it out. It was a good race, very close. So just go to YouTube and look at women's 100-meter backstroke, Tokyo, and it should come right up. What was her name? Last night, I don't remember, but a woman from a small town in Alaska won 100-meter something or other.
Lydia King.
Oh, Lydia King. Seward, Alaska. What did she win?
I believe the 200 breast.
All right, so we're thinking it's the 200 breaststroke, but what's curious about that is there's only one pool in Alaska, and it's at Broward High School, I think it is, in Anchorage.
Bartlett High School in Anchorage.
What is it?
Bartlett High School in Anchorage.
Bartlett.
It's the only 50-meter pool in Alaska.
The Bartlett High School in Alaska. It's the only 50-meter pool in Alaska. Lydia Jacoby. Excuse me, I'm getting corrected here. But that was interesting. So she won. And similarly, a guy by the name of Ahmed Hafnawi from Tunisia. All right, 18 years old. 400 meter, racing against the world champion, the Olympic champion, and all these other guys. And he out-touched him at the wall. Fabulous race, men's 400 meter freestyle. And an 18-year-old Tunisian. Tunisia is on the north coast of Africa. The ancient name is Carthage, but modern-day name is Tunisia. Women's 100 meter IM, which is the you do 100 meters of backstroke, 100 meters of breaststroke, 100 what is it? It goes 100 meters butterfly, 100 meters back, 100 meters breath, and then 100 meters of freestyle. And the women's IM was won by Yui Ohashi, and she's from Japan, right? And the stadium was completely empty. The mask protocols that these Olympic officials make, they make these athletes like wear masks all the way until the time they get on their starting blocks. It's ridiculous. It's silly. There was a guy, one of the swimmers from one of the Eastern European countries. He took his mask, right, and he cut off the bottom straps, and then he tied the remaining two top hooks together. So he basically had this one little piece of elastic and this piece of cloth hanging down in front of his face. Some of them aren't wearing them at all, just blatantly flouting the masks. But like I said, it's just anyway. The athletics are great. Stuff coming up. I really like track and field, which is why I'm such an Olympic buff. Our best sprinter, female sprinter, Sha'Carri Richardson. She's been running 10.7s all year long, 10.7.2, 10.7.4, 10.7.5, 10.7.8, which is good. So everybody was looking forward to her. 21 years old, kind of has an attitude, and got disqualified for marijuana in her blood. So we're not going to win anything in the women's 1 or 200. We have a real good chance in 100-meter hurdles and 400-meter hurdles. Track events. The skeet. The men's skeet championship went a couple days ago. Vincent, I can't remember his name, but he shot in the final round. He shot 59 out of 60 birds. That was incredible. The guy that placed third in the skeet shooting, his name is Abdullah Al-Rashidi. He's from Kuwait. He's 57 years old. This is his 7th consecutive Olympic Games. He won bronze last year. He won bronze this year. But and then there's a ping pong player, and I don't remember where she's from, but she's 13 years old, and she's the youngest. And I think Abdullah Al-Rashidi was the oldest, but he's certainly going to be the oldest medalist. Wayne Van Niekerk is going to run in the men's 400. That happens on August 3rd, I think. Ryan Crouser, the guy that set the shot put record at the Olympic trials, 76 foot 8 inches. I went to a dinner party, and I was talking to somebody that used to compete against him in high school and college. They're both from Oregon, and he's friends with the Crouser family. And he told me, and I don't know, apparently it's true, but this Crouser guy he's thrown 80 feet before in practice. A 16-pound metal ball, about that big, heavy as a heavy bowling ball, and the guy can launch it 80 feet. So that's what they tell me he's trying to do. At the trials, he threw 176.8, so that's good. This is going to be a great race. This happens, I think, on August 1st. But this is, what is it? It's the women's 400. All right, women's 400 meter, not the hurdles, but it is the hurdles. The women's 400 meter hurdles. All right, it's going to be dominated by the Americans. But during the Olympic trials, we had Dalila Muhammad is the current world record holder, she was the world record holder both indoor and out. Commonwealth Games champion, Olympic champion, all the rest of this stuff, has every title in the world. And she was racing one of the newer runners, one by the name of Sydney McLaughlin. And McLaughlin is She runs the first two. She drags a little bit on the first 200 meters, but she's really, really quick in the last 75 meters. But Dalila Muhammad is really, really quick through the first 300 and doesn't have quite the finishing kick. But she's usually so far ahead that it doesn't matter. So these two raced each other at the Olympic trials and in Eugene a month and a half ago. And Dalila Muhammad came out really quick, ran the first 300 really quick, and Sydney McGoffin stayed with her. And they got to 75 meters to go, and she was within striking distance, back by about a stride. And she ran her down. Right, and she finished ahead of her and broke Dalila Muhammad's world record, and ran. She was the first woman to run under 52 seconds. I think she ran a 51.9. And but those two women are going to meet again at the Olympic finals here, so that's going to be a good race. Anyway, in the other press, you get a bunch of it's interesting. You get a bunch of good articles every now and again. Usually some specific topic, a company doing this, a company doing that. There was one the other day where they finally came out with the seismography or the internal structure of Mars. Turns out it has a liquid core compared to Earth's solid core with a much thicker mantle and a thicker crust proportionally, not thicker in absolute distance, but proportional to its size. And so they map, and you get good articles like that. But the main thing that they just keep pushing in the press, three themes, open the paper every day, watch the news every day, and they just keep beating them to death. You got inflation, Chairman Powell, but I repeat myself, and then this Delta variant, right, of the COVID-19. Inflation is interesting. It's complicated. You have price inflation in food and particularly raw materials, copper, iron, aluminum. But the food they handle by making the portions smaller, keeping prices the same. Cost of energy came down 10, 12%, so that helps quite a bit. Hurts Exxon and Chevron and, our oil company stocks, as we've been seeing, Kinder Morgan. But, so that helps. But the thing that's just killing them is real estate inflation. And the reason that that's happening is because Chairman Powell keeps printing $120 to $180 billion a month. The largest homeowner in the United States currently is BlackRock Financial, because they borrow this money from him at zero interest, and then they buy homes and they're no occupancy. The largest portion of homes sold in California and Oregon and Washington in the last year are no occupancy. They're owned by this giant hedge fund working off free money from the Fed. And it's causing real estate prices to come up at like 11, 12% a year. The prices are so high that a lot of people that are currently in homes aren't even buying new homes just because of sticker shock and thinking that it's going to come down. And when the foreclosure moratorium and the eviction for renters moratorium ends at the end of July here next week, I don't think they're prepared for it. I think that inflation is a problem with the American Federal Reserve, which is a problem with the American government deficit spending. And anyway, in my opinion, not according to the papers, of course, it's the Delta variant that's causing all the inflation. Oh my God. And there were three articles about Chairman Powell in particular. His term ends February in 2022. Biden has to name a replacement to get through the Senate either in late August or early September. The speculation is he's going to pick a woman of color or a woman anyway. Powell is very popular among the Congress. He's popular with Janet Yellen, who is Biden's Treasury Secretary, and she herself is a former Federal Reserve Chair. And all the people that he's popular with are in favor of this huge money printing. And so I think that's going to continue, and that means the stock market is going to do what it's going to do. It's down a little bit today, I guess. Been handed something. I don't know what this is. Oh, yeah. Yellen urges Congress to act on debt limit. Yeah, sure. Well, we keep printing 120 to 180 billion a month. I'll have to read it. I don't have time right now. But anyway, so 3 articles about Chairman Powell. There was an interesting article. Somebody actually got it published in the Wall Street Journal, which is a big deal to get this one past the editors. It was critical of the board of directors of J.P. Morgan Chase for leaving Jamie Dimon in the CEO position for as long as they have. And I noticed that, this guy's probably had this article written for maybe 5 years. But J.P. Morgan's stock price is down currently a little bit. In fact, if you look at our portfolio and you look at since April 9th, it's the biggest loser. Since April 9th, it's down 3.61%. So he's weak politically, and they finally published this article. But that's something that you don't see every day. Somebody criticizing the board of directors of a major corporation, published in the Wall Street Journal, like I say. On to this. The other thing about the inflation narrative, it's going to they never used to put the cost of shelter, as they refer to it in the official release, in the consumer price index. And starting, I think, this month or last month, or for the quarter, the GDP for this quarter, which comes out next week, I think, or later this week, it goes into the consumer price inflation measure. So it's gonna jump the numbers terribly, and they know that's coming up. So they're going to have a bad headline print, and it's a real concern. Cost of shelter. Anyway, on to this Delta variant. I don't know what to say, so, I'm going to stick to the numbers. I think that I don't know what the rationale is. I just don't. All right, COVID, let's just call the umbrella disease COVID, for lack of a better word. You have the primary variant, whatever they call it. You have the Delta variant. You have the Lambda Delta variant. So in between Delta and Lambda, I'm assuming you have an Echo and a Gamma, and all these other variants, maybe a Delta Tau Chi variant, who knows? But look at the deaths. They publish tests. Oh, we have testing for Delta, and they're just knickers in a twist. It was leaked in the press that the vast majority of the positive tests for the Delta virus in England are from patients that were admitted to hospitals for other causes, dying of heart disease, dying of diabetes, dying of cancer. And they give them a test when they come into the hospital, and that's the majority of the cases, right, in England. All right, but in the United States, I don't live in England, I live in the United States, so let's stick to the United States. And let's look at the death rate, shall we, from COVID. Now, it was fairly severe. Back during, it had 2 runs, summer of last year and then April of 2020, and the numbers were high. It was causing excess mortality. Currently, all right, these numbers are from the CDC as of yesterday. I'm going to go by deaths per day, okay? COVID is responsible for 145 deaths per day. Every death is regrettable, 145, we have 332 million people in the United States, so you got to keep that in mind. All right, but heart disease kills approximately 1,800 people a day. Cancer kills 1,650 people a day. Accidents, what they call unintentional injury, including murders, kills 475 people a day. Stroke kills 410 people a day. Alzheimer's disease kills 333 people a day. Diabetes kills what do they call diabetes? It's got a name. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Diabetes kills 240 people a day. Then COVID at 145, and then what's called nephritis, which is kidney failure, kills 140 people a day, and then suicides are 130 people a day. And I looked at the numbers in some detail, and deaths from COVID for the last 3 months, call it. It takes about a month. You have to throw out the last month because they're still updating. But from 5 weeks ago, the numbers are fairly steady. And if you run that series back months from there, the deaths from COVID, all variants, are that low, and they're falling at in between 8 and 11% a week. on average. Some weeks it's 8%, some weeks it's 11. It averages out to about 10 point some percent a week. So they're following that week. If it follows that trajectory, continues to follow that trajectory, I should say, then by August 7th, all right, it will drop from the 7th leading cause of death, which it is now, to the 8th, and it will be overtaken by nephritis, which is kidney failure. And in between August 14th and August 15th, or August 14th and August 21st, the middle of August, it will fall below suicide. Okay? I don't know where you live, but in my state, these they're disconnected from reality. We have people talking about bringing a mask mandate back to school. Okay? If you segregate suicide statistics by age, okay, there's already probably 10 times as many people below the age of, call it 24, dying of suicide than of the Delta variant. So, who's this for? Some aged teacher? Can you think of a worse example of sacrificing the young for the pusillanimous nature of the old? It's ridiculous. I don't know when it stops. There's 3 articles in the Wall Street Journal about it this morning. And none of these articles ever mention the death statistics that I just read you. That would be counter to their narrative. They want you to get vaccinated. They want this. They want that. And I just, it's the numbers don't support it. And I just don't understand it. I just really don't. Anyway, speaking of numbers, and the Delta virus as a headline, not as an event, but as a headline. Let's look. I was on the show last Tuesday. And last Monday, the market fell. What did it fall? Last Tuesday, the market fell 60. Where are we here? Tuesday. Fell. It was Monday, excuse me. I was on Tuesday, and the Monday, the day before I was on, it fell 68.67 points. The Friday before that, it fell, that would be Friday the 16th, it fell, on Thursday the 15th, it fell 14.27 points, right? On Friday the 16th, it fell 32.87 points, and that broke the 10 DMA down, right? 10-day moving average, DMA is daily moving average, and that broke the 10 DMA down, and that changed all the statistics for the probability of breaking the 25 and the 50. And then on Monday, it went down 68.67 points, and it sailed through the 25 DMA down and bounced intraday off the 50 DMA down. And then I was on here talking on Tuesday, and I was saying that I thought that they were going to defend that 50 DMA down, and boy, did they. On Tuesday, the day that I had my show, but the show's in the morning, so I didn't see it at the time. Market went up 64.57 points, totally recovered the 25 DMA down and was 21.5 points below the 10 DMA down. Wednesday, the 21st, went up 35.6 points, which totally put it 14.1 points above the 10 DMA down. And then Thursday went up only 8 points, so stayed the same. Friday went up 44.31 points, new all-time high. Last Friday, July 23rd, when we end our week for the calculations over here, but went up to a new all-time high on Friday, and that all-time high lasted until yesterday. And it went up. What did it go up yesterday? Yesterday it was only up 10.51 points, but 2 consecutive all-time highs. So I mean. Until Chairman Powell either gets nominated or axed, and if there's no other shock to the system, well, if it doesn't look like there's any, it looks like they're going to push it up. But anyway, we calculate from Friday to Friday. That's our week for our numbers. Usually the volatility isn't this inconvenient where you have to take into account what's going on every single day. Yesterday, the market was up. Today, this morning, at least, it was down. Who knows how it'll finish? With these numbers, what is the 10 DMA? Just for reference. Currently, as of yesterday, close of business, the 10-day moving average was 4,357.25. The 25 DMA was 4,326. Only a 26-point difference in between the 50 and the 25 DMA. Yeah. Think about that, if you're mathematically minded. Anyway, 50 DMA is 4,263. So that's a reasonable drop. That's another 70 points. But 10 and 25 DMA up. But 43.57 is the 10, 43.26 is the 25. Watch out for those. Anyway, 4 portfolios. First 2 portfolios, top 30 stocks by capitalization. First portfolio, the top 30 stocks, which represent more than 50% of the value in the S&P, are cap-weighted. Second portfolio is equal-weighted. Got a third portfolio where to get rid of sector concentration. We took all 11 sectors in the S&P, top 3 per sector, and then a discretionary portfolio of mine. As of last Friday, the markets closed at 4,411.79 points, new all-time high until yesterday. That's up 84.63 points for the week, which is 1.96%. So if you had a portfolio of $100,000, that should have returned you $1,950. Okay. Our top 30 cap weight portfolio returned $1,796, so below the market as a whole, but good. The top 30 equal weight, which is the same 30 stocks, just equal weighted instead of cap weighted, returned 1,500 instead of the 1,950. Top 3 by sector only returned 802. Energy sector was down. Financial sector was down. Real estate sector was down. Utilities was down. And in the top 30 cap weights, you don't have any real estate or utilities companies at all. You only have one energy company. And so when you have a broader portfolio, you didn't do as well. Only $800 in that portfolio compared to 1956 or 1950 for the expectation, so less than half. And then the large liquid leaders, without the effect of hedges, which I'll talk about later, returned $1,300. So if we look at the particular stocks involved, illuminating in the current market. All right, this is the top 30 cap weight, which is the top 30 stocks with the investments within the portfolio weighted by capitalization. There were 5 stocks that contributed more than $100 to the portfolio. First one was Facebook. Contributed $487 to the portfolio, went up 8.4% last week. 6.4% on a single day. And then for the rest of the week, it eked out an 8.4% gain. But Google contributed $484 to the portfolio, going up almost 5 full percent last week. Microsoft contributed $401 to the portfolio, going up 3.2% last week. NVIDIA is a meme stock. We've talked about it extensively. Went up 7.7% last week. And then Apple went up 1.5%, 1.48%, and contributed $210. All right, so look at that list here. Facebook, Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Apple. Okay. If we take the top 5 stocks by market capitalization in the S&P 500, which means, well, I don't know if it means the world anymore. China has some big stocks, but certainly in the American markets. By rank, they are Apple, Microsoft. The third is still missing. Facebook, and then Google. And all of them are just, that's what went up. And speaking of Amazon, our missing stock from the top 5, that was the only stock that lost more than $100 in this portfolio, falling 2.6% last week. And it's a story stock. The earnings don't justify the price. And maybe when Jeff Bezos came off his space flight and admitted that it was egotistical, maybe that's what pushed the stock down. I don't know. But it lost a little bit last week. What did it lose? Down 2.6%. Anyway, top 30 equal weight, same stocks, but instead of cap weighting them by the size of the company, we equal weight them. 8 stocks contributed more than $100 if you do it that way. NVIDIA is the largest, contributing $335. Facebook, $315. Nike is China. China is Nike. What's good for China is good for Nike, literally. That's what they're doing with their PR campaign. Stocks up 20% since they started that, contributed $182 to the portfolio, up 4.1% last week. PayPal stock was up 4.7%. Adobe stock was up 3.3%. Google stock was up 4.76%. Microsoft stock up 3.18%. And Home Depot had a winning week. I guess they're getting ready to go into earnings so the guy can open his mouth and talk his stock down and maybe whipsaw him a little bit, make some trading profit. No stocks in that portfolio fell more than $100. Amazon only, because it's equal weighted instead of cap weighted, only subtracted 97. Top 3 per sector, which is all 11 sectors, top 3 stocks per sector. 4 stocks above $100. Facebook, Home Depot, up 3.5%. Google and Microsoft, which we already covered. 1 stock fell more than $100, and that was Crown Castle. Crown Castle's a real estate investment trust, and that one fell 4.76%. In the large liquid leaders, which is my discretionary portfolio, 7 stocks went up above $100. I had no losers. Largest loser in the portfolio was Kinder Morgan, which is an oil services concern, but it only lost the portfolio $68. The next stock down was Verizon, which only lost me $40. I mean, I had no losers. 7 winners that contributed $1,245. Facebook, $372. Target, $198. Pfizer, $145. Costco, $144. Microsoft, $143. Lind, $131. And Thermo Fisher Scientific, $112. Good performances out of Lind and Thermo Fisher, up 3% and 2.4% respectively, which is good for materials and healthcare stock, respectively. But I had that portfolio hedged. I didn't take the hedges off of it. I left it hedged. And so out of $1,298 in gains, I cost myself $881 in the hedges. Facebook went up $372, added $372 to the portfolio, but my hedges cost me $287. Target went up $198, hedges cost $154. Pfizer went up $145, hedges only cost $45 on Pfizer. That's much more reasonable. Costco went up $144, hedges only cost $69. Microsoft went up $140, hedges cost $110. And then the stocks that went down, just because they all didn't fall hardly at all, I didn't make any money on the other side. So I lost $880 out of my $1,300 that I made. If I'd have waited a week, because I redid most of those hedges on that Monday that the market fell and was, when it was trading in the afternoon below the 50 DMA. I redid all the hedges. In rolling them over, I made, I think, $1,700, $1,750 or something like that, rolled them over. But if I'd have waited a week, just let the portfolio closed them out when they were trading way down on that Monday, and then waited a week to put them back on, I'd have added, another $2,500, but it didn't. I kept the hedges on there. You can never tell. The Delta variant. The Delta variant, might send the markets into a flat spin. 145 deaths a day. It's going to be below suicide by the middle of August, and they're still going to be talking about it. It's embarrassing. I don't know what they think they're doing. A guy gets evicted from his home or can't pay his, is behind on his rent, and they put him out on the street. And he shows up in the suicide statistics, but that's nothing. We won't even mention that. What we're going to talk about is the Delta variant. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. I don't understand what they're doing. There's no basis for it in the numbers. Anyway, 54 stocks in all 4 portfolios. Looking at, if we look at all 54, Facebook, well, there's 2 stocks that went up more than 5%. Facebook's and NVIDIA. Facebook was the best performer, up 8.39%. NVIDIA was the second best performer, went up 7.69%, and this is last week. NVIDIA stock rose 50%, 48% in between April 9th and call it 3 weeks ago. Then it fell 23%. Now it's back up 15 of the 23. It's a roller coaster right now. If you're a trader, it's a great stock. The only thing that's driving it is the meme. The reason it's up is the CEO actually has a brain in his head, or has an investment banker that does. But when it was riding high, they forward split it 4-for-1. And that's the reason it went, when it recovered some price on the forward split, 4-to-1 forward split, they went from, I think, 600 million shares outstanding to whatever that is, 2.4 billion shares outstanding. Really aggressive forward split, but that consolidated the price. So that guy's worth whatever he's getting paid, did something smart, very unusual. Anyway, we had 2 stocks above 5%, no stocks in between, no stocks greater than 5% but less than 7. 4 stocks up above 4% but less than 5. And that would be AMT or American Tower, PayPal, and Target. And then 8 stocks that were up more than 3 but less than 4. 5 stocks that were up more than 2 but less than 3. Another 8 stocks that were up more than 1 but less than 2. 9 stocks that were up but up less than 1%. 12 stocks that were down but down less than 1%. 3 stocks that were down more than 1% but less than 2%, and 4 stocks that were down more than 2%. And that's Amazon, 2.58%, Netflix, 2.81%. Netflix reported earnings, and their subscriber growth was not as robust as people were hoping, so their stock fell 2.81%. Intel Corporation reported earnings, can't make a profit in the middle of the biggest chip shortage in history. They made a profit, but they're not capitalizing on it. NVIDIA is a chip maker also, and they are capitalizing on it, but Intel just can't seem to get it together. And then the biggest loser for the week, as I already mentioned, Crown Castle, which was the real estate concern. And that's going to do it. Went overtime today, talking about the Olympics and all the other stuff that bugs me. It's Tuesday. Name of the show is The Bogdanich Perspective. Thanks for joining. Find us on the web, talkcastpdx.com, obviously. Splattered around on Spotify or YouTube under The Bogdanich Perspective. And see you next Tuesday. And do widzenia. And that means goodbye.
Download the TalkCast PDX app today. Available at Google Play or the Apple App Store. Go to TalkCastPDX.com for a direct link.